My name is Caleb Sterling. I'm 31 years old, and for the last 2 years, I thought my life was a picture perfect snapshot of Austin, Texas living. I have a good job as a graphic designer, a nice apartment downtown with a view of the skyline, and until recently, I had Seraphina. She was the whirlwind to my calm, the vibrant splash of paint on my carefully planned canvas. She was an actress, or at least she was trying to be. She had this fire in her, a raw ambition that I found intoxicating. While I spent my days aligning pixels and choosing fonts, she was running lines, going to auditions, and dreaming of seeing her name in lights. I loved that about her. I loved her passion, her unpredictability, the way she could make a Tuesday night feel like a movie premiere. We were the perfect couple, or so I believed. I was the stable ground that let her fly, and she was the adventure that made my life feel complete. Our friends saw it, our families saw it. At Christmas, with both our families gathered around a table piled high with brisket and pecan pie, we announced that we'd probably be getting engaged sometime in the new year. The room erupted in cheers. My mom cried. Her dad shook my hand with a firm, approving grip. It felt real solid, like the foundation of the rest of our lives. A few months later in March, I took her to look at engagement rings. It wasn't a proposal, not yet, but a promise. We walked along South Congress, popping into boutique jewelry stores. I watched her face as she tried on different styles, her eyes sparkling brighter than any diamond. I saw our future in that reflection, a house in the suburbs, maybe a kid or two, growing old together on a porch swing, sipping sweet tea. I had it all mapped out. I was ready. I was all in. That ring shopping trip was the peak. The view from the top of the mountain right before the avalanche. A week later, something shifted. It was subtle at first, like a cloud passing over the sun. Seraphina started going to what she called industry networking events. They were always last minute, always ran late. She'd come home in the early hours of the morning, smelling of expensive perfume and champagne, buzzing with an energy that didn't include me. When I'd ask about her night, her answers were vague. Just schmoozing, you know how it is, you have to play the game. One night, she didn't come home at all. I called her phone a dozen times, each call going straight to voicemail. I paced our apartment for hours, my mind inventing 1,000 horrible scenarios. She finally strolled in around noon the next day, looking exhausted but unapologetic. She said she'd been at a wrap party for an indie film a friend was in and her phone died. She claimed she crashed on the friend's couch. When I told her how worried I was, how I hadn't slept, she flipped it on me. "Caleb, you have to trust me," she said, her voice laced with a frustration that made me feel small. "This is my career, this is what it takes. If you can't handle it, then maybe you can't handle me." Her words were a punch to the gut. Was I being clingy? Was I holding her back with my 9 to 5 mentality? I started to second guess myself. I loved this woman and I wanted to support her dreams, so I backed off. I tried to be the cool, understanding boyfriend, but the distance between us. The late nights became more frequent. She started getting ready for auditions that looked a lot like dates. She'd spend hours on her hair and makeup, putting on a new dress, and I'd be sitting on the couch in my sweatpants, feeling like a ghost in my own home. The final blow came a month after the ring shopping. She sat me down on the edge of our bed, the same bed where we had dreamed about our future, and she ended it. She said she couldn't be in a relationship right now. She needed to focus entirely on her career, and my crippling insecurity was suffocating her. She said my constant need for reassurance was draining her creative energy. She said it was my trust issues that were the problem. And the worst part, I believed her. I absolutely believed her. I was the problem. My love was a cage, and she needed to be free. The world I had so carefully built crumbled around me, and my nemesis wasn't some rival for her affection. It was, according to her, my own flawed character. The month that followed was the single worst period of my life. The breakup was official, but we were still living together until the lease was up. It was a special kind of hell. I had to watch the woman I thought I was going to marry get ready to go out on dates with other men. I'd lie in our bed, the sheets still smelling faintly of her, and I'd listen to her humming happily in the bathroom as she chose an outfit. I'd hear the front door click shut, and I would just lay there, staring at the ceiling, sobbing until I had nothing left. I was a ghost. I stopped eating. I stopped sleeping. My work suffered. My friends would call, and I'd ignore them because I didn't know what to say. How do you explain that your heart is broken because you weren't good enough, because you were too needy, too untrusting? I lost 13 pounds. I looked in the mirror and saw a stranger, a hollowed-out shell of the man I used to be. Seraphina, on the other hand, was thriving. She was fine with watching me waste away. She'd occasionally offer a hollow, "Are you okay?" But it was clear she was enjoying her newfound freedom. She treated me like a roommate she barely tolerated. For that entire month, she let me believe that our beautiful 2-year relationship failed because of me. She watched me torture myself, watched me lose my grip on reality, and she did nothing. She was my judge, jury, and executioner, and my sentence was to live with the knowledge that I had single-handedly destroyed the best thing that ever happened to me. I was trying to solve the problem. I bought books on overcoming relationship anxiety. I looked up therapists. I wrote long, rambling journal entries trying to pinpoint where I went wrong, how I could fix myself so this would never happen again. I was trying to repair the damage, but I was fixing the wrong machine. I was working on myself when the real problem was her. My birthday arrived in the middle of this nightmare. I turned 31. I had imagined spending it with her, maybe a nice dinner, a weekend trip. Instead, I spent it alone in our apartment while she was out on yet another date. When she came home that night, she found me sitting in the dark. Maybe she felt a flicker of pity, a sliver of guilt. She sat down, and for the first time she told me a piece of the truth. She admitted she hadn't just been on dates, she confessed that she'd had a sexual affair. She framed it as a one-time mistake, a symptom of how unhappy she had become because of my issues. It was a calculated confession designed to give me a little bit of what I was looking for, an external reason for the pain, but still keeping the majority of the blame squarely on my shoulders. It was a cruel, twisted birthday present, but it was also the key. It was the first crack in the dam of lies she had built. The next day she went out for a run, leaving her tablet on the coffee table. Curiosity, the thing she had accused me of having in toxic amounts, got the better of me. I told myself I was looking for closure, for answers about this one affair. I just needed to understand. I picked up the tablet. It was unlocked. I opened her messaging app, and I fell down the rabbit hole. It wasn't one affair. It wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a lifestyle. My heart pounded in my chest as I scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. It was a cascade of deception. There were dozens of conversations. Men she was flirting with, men she was sending explicit photos to, men she was making plans with. I started counting. My hand was shaking so hard I could barely hold a pen. I grabbed a legal pad from my work bag and began to write down every single phone number. The number wasn't 1 or 2 or even 10. The final tally on that first dive was 27 different men. She was telling each of them a different story, making them all feel special, letting them all believe they had a shot with her. One guy, a kid in his early 20s, was completely head over heels. She had met him 12 days ago. I read their entire chat history. She had told him she was in love with him. She told him she was just waiting for her awful roommate to move out so they could get a place together, run away, and start a new life. She was feeding him the same lines, the same dreams she had fed me. At the exact same time, she was sending explicit videos to another man, arranging to meet him for a hookup that very night. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just cheating. This was a complex, predatory web of manipulation, and I had been caught in the very center of it for 2 years. This was my rock bottom, the realization that nothing, absolutely nothing about our life together had been real. The love, the laughter, the promises, the shared dreams of a future, it was all a performance. I wasn't her partner, I was her mark. I was the guy with the stable job and the nice apartment, a convenient and cheap place to stay while she built her network of men. I was the chump who could help fund her acting career. The pain of the breakup was nothing compared to this. This was a deeper, more profound agony, the feeling of being utterly and completely played for a fool. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me as I realized I still had to live with her for 2 more weeks, pretending I didn't know I was sharing a roof with a monster. Every smile, every casual good morning was a lie. All my progress, all my attempts to fix myself, it all evaporated. The problem wasn't my insecurity. The problem was that my gut had been screaming at me for months and I had let her convince me not to listen. All was lost. My past was a fraud, my present was a living hell, and my future felt like a terrifying empty void. Lying in bed that night, staring into the darkness, something inside me shifted. The grief, the shame, the soul-crushing sadness began to curdle. It slowly, quietly transformed into a cold, hard rage. She had taken 2 years of my life. She had taken my money, my love, my self-respect. She had tried to take my sanity. I had nothing left to lose. And a man with nothing left to lose is a man who can do anything. She thought she had broken me, but she had just forged me into something new. I was no longer a victim. I was going to be her reckoning. The next day I started digging deeper. I went through her tablet again, this time with a purpose. I took screenshots. I documented everything. I found an app called T, a gossip app for the local scene, and I searched her name. I found 2 guys, Mark and David, who had posted vague warnings about her in the past. They had experiences just like mine. I reached out to them. We agreed to meet at a small brewery on the east side, a place she would never go. Sitting across from them, listening to their stories, was like looking into a funhouse mirror of my own experience. Mark had dated her right before me. She had cheated on him constantly, made him feel worthless, and then discarded him when my stable job and nicer apartment came along. He even showed me direct messages she had sent to another guy while she and I were moving in together, complaining about me and already lining up her next affair. David had been one of the guys she was seeing on the side during our relationship. She had told him I was her gay best friend and roommate. The audacity was breathtaking. Sharing our stories, the 3 of us, it wasn't just therapeutic, it was empowering. We weren't crazy, we weren't insecure, we were victims of a master manipulator, and together we were going to stop her. They helped me draft the message. We made it clear, concise, and backed up with undeniable proof. We planned a multi-stage attack. Stage 1, the group chat. Stage 2, a private message to her family and close friends. Stage 3, the public campaign. I spent the next 2 weeks living a double life. To her face, I was the sad, broken ex-boyfriend, quietly packing my things. In reality, I was an intelligence agent gathering data. Every time she went on a date, I'd find a way to get the guy's name and number. The list grew from 27 to 35, then to 40. By the time moving day arrived, the grand total was 42. 42 men she was actively manipulating. The day she moved out was electric with tension. I helped her carry the last few boxes to her car, my face a perfect mask of sad resignation. I watched her pack her life into a used sedan, oblivious to the storm that was about to break. "Well, I guess this is it," she said, giving me a pitying look. "Take care of yourself, Caleb." She gave me a quick, insincere hug and drove away, probably heading straight to the next man on her list. The moment her car turned the corner, I walked back into the empty apartment. The silence was deafening. I took a deep breath. This was it. I sat down on the floor with my laptop. My heart was pounding, my hands shaking, but my mind was crystal clear. I opened up my messages. I created a new group chat. I meticulously added every single one of the 42 numbers I had collected. I pasted the message marked David and I had crafted. It was simple. Hello everyone, you are in this chat because you have all been romantically involved with Seraphina Marks. My name is Caleb. I was her live-in partner for the last 2 years. She is not single. She has been systematically lying to and manipulating all of us. I have proof of everything, which I will be sharing. I attached a few key screenshots, the I love you text to the 20-something, the hookup plans with another guy, the messages to David where she called me her gay best friend. My finger hovered over the send button. This was the point of no return. I pressed it. A second later, I sent a longer, more detailed message privately to her mother, her brother, and her circle of friends who I had grown close to. I told them everything, not to be cruel, but because they were the only ones who might be able to get through to her. Then I opened Instagram. I went to our profile, to all the happy photos we had taken together, the trips, the birthdays, the anniversary posts. I didn't delete them. I went back and edited every single caption. A cute picture of us at Zilker Park now read, "A warning to any woman or man who meets Seraphina Marks. She's a pathological liar and a serial cheater. Do not believe a word she says. If you've been involved with her, you are not alone." Finally, I opened TikTok. I had prepared a series of short videos laying out the timeline, showing the evidence, telling my story. I posted them all. And then I sat back and I waited. The aftermath was immediate and overwhelming. My phone began to vibrate so intensely it nearly fell off the floor. The group chat exploded. At first, there was confusion. Then, as guys started cross-referencing their stories, the confusion turned to shock and then to a kind of dark, communal camaraderie. Men were sharing screenshots of the exact same pet names and promises she had sent them. There was no negativity directed at me. It was all gratitude. "Thank you for saving me from this," one message read. "I was about to lend her money," said another. A man she was supposed to fly in from another state to spend a week with messaged me privately. He had just canceled his flight. He sent me a screenshot of his cancellation confirmation. The response from her family and friends was silence, not a single reply. Their silence spoke volumes. It was disappointing but not surprising. They were choosing to protect their own rather than acknowledge the truth. But the public response was a tidal wave. My TikTok videos went viral overnight in the Austin area. My Instagram was flooded with messages. One girl reached out telling me she had plans to meet up with Seraphina when she was back in town from a trip. She'd seen my edited caption and blocked her immediately. We made plans to grab coffee when she got back. A new community was forming in the wreckage Seraphina had left behind, and from the woman herself, nothing. For 24 hours, not a single word. I knew she saw it all because I watched as she frantically went through our old photos and untagged herself from every single one, a quiet digital admission of guilt. Her silence was the loudest confession she could have made. There was nothing to say when I had proof of everything. Life is different now. It's been a few months. The dust has settled. I'm still in the same apartment, but it feels like mine again. I've reclaimed the space. The rage has subsided, replaced by a quiet, steady sense of peace. I didn't get the dramatic confrontation I might have seen in a movie, but what I got was better. I got justice. I took back my narrative. I wasn't the insecure, needy boyfriend who drove her away. I was the man who exposed a predator and saved dozens of others from the same heartbreak I endured. I've met up with a few of the guys from the group chat. We've become a strange sort of support group, bonded by our shared, bizarre experience. We laugh about it now a little bit. It's a way of healing. I'm starting to date again slowly. I'm more cautious, sure, but I'm not broken. I'm stronger. I learned to trust my gut. I learned that my kindness is not a weakness. And I learned that sometimes the most satisfying revenge isn't about destruction, it's about truth. Seraphina never reached out to me directly. She disappeared from the Austin scene, a social ghost. I thought that was the end of the story, my new normal settling in. Then about a week ago, I got a message from an anonymous account. It was just a link. My curiosity got the better of me one last time. I clicked it. It took me to an OnlyFans page. The profile picture was a professionally shot, seductive photo of Seraphina. And the bio made my blood run cold. It read, "You've all heard his story, now it's time to pay to hear mine." She was monetizing it. She was spinning the scandal, the pain she had caused, into a new product, a new performance. For a moment, I felt that old anger flare up. But then I just laughed. It was the most Seraphina thing she could possibly do. It didn't undo my victory. It didn't change the truth. It just proved once and for all exactly who she was. Some people never change. They just find a new stage and a new audience to sell their lies to. And I was finally completely out of my seat and walking out of her theater for good.